Hello, my name is Kedar and you're watching rptv News. In 2017, rptv launched the first in a series of videos called Regent Parks, the past, the present, and the future. We also interviewed Regent Park residents to find out what life was like in the past. We asked them about what life is like for them in the present. And finally, we explored their hopes and visions for the future. 7 years have passed since the first episode, and much has changed, though some things still stayed the same. New buildings have risen, more people have moved in, and now phases 4 and 5 are already underway. At rptv, we're excited to revisit Regent Park's past, present, and future with a new series of interviews. Regent Park remains a vibrant place where many newcomers come to when they first arrive, and where others have put down roots and call home. The revitalization has brought many changes, attracting many residents who also see the benefits of this neighborhood. And now, with all this in mind, let's go meet some of our Regent Parkers. Regent Park has long been a community at the intersection of change and challenge. Today, we're bringing you a story that not only sheds light on the experiences of one individual, but also opens a larger conversation about the systemic barriers faced by so many in Canadian society. Paul Tobias grew up here in Regent Park, and his story reflects both resilience and the urgent need for change. From housing reform to educational inequities, from racial equity to immigrant experiences, Paul's journey provides a lens through which we can better understand and address these civic issues.
My name is Paul Tobias. I lived in Regent Park since I was at the age of 17 years old. My early years in Regent, I had just came to Canada 2 years prior. My mother and my stepfather, unfortunately, things didn't work out. So I ended up living with my mother in a very small apartment, a one-bedroom apartment. And finally, we relocated to Regent Park at the age of 17. And I said, wow, such a huge apartment, 3 bedrooms. It was like heaven. Not knowing that there was a stigma to where I was living. And then that got me start thinking, wow, why are we being treated this way? I got married the year before I moved out of Regent Park. And I told my wife, my ex-wife, I told her that we're not going to stay here long. I was just being there for my mom. So I helped my mom. We actually partnered and we bought a house together on Pape Avenue. And that was a dream come true because then I felt that I accomplished my goal of getting my mother out of that environment.
As we explore Paul's story, it's clear that societal stigma plays a role in perpetuating inequity. By sharing his experiences, Paul challenges these narratives and asks us to consider, how can we as a society shift the way we think about communities like Regent Park? And more importantly, how can we foster meaningful solutions to these challenges?
When I first started school at Eastdale Collegiate, I realized it was a different school. It was not the same as the normal high schools that I've been attended prior. And then I found out it's because of the disadvantaged community area that I lived, which was very unfortunate. However, I did not let that stop me. I focused on what I wanted to do with my education. After high school, I was always working while I was going to high school. I worked actually the first Blue Jays game that took place, and I worked there for a few seasons. My first goal was to be an actor. Second was to be a pilot. However, while I was working part-time in the hospitality industry, I ended up staying in the hospitality industry and studied hotel management at George Brown College. Whilst I was doing that, at the Chelsea Hotel, I met Ron James, who is our famous Canadian comedian. And Ron actually helped me got a bartending job while I was still going to George Brown studying hotel management. After I finished my hotel management, I was fortunate to get a job at the Habercastle Hotel to work in the Habercastle to manage the celebrity bar. And mindset, I've met people that are in history right now. Walter Schell. Walter Schell was the gentleman who created the Bloody Caesar. I actually worked with Walter Schell, and I actually took over the responsibility to manage the celebrities at the time, which was competing with the Royal York Hotel's entertainment bar. I basically realized that in order to succeed, you have to climatize and adjust. Volunteer sometimes to do other things. However, never, ever give up on my dreams. And I was fortunate to be promoted several times within the hotel industry. And it's a dream come true because I've met some people who worked with my mother in the hotels before, and when they found out it was my mother, I got a different response. They were very positive, very receptive. There was one gentleman who lived in Regent Park whilst I worked in the hotel, actually at the Chelsea Hotel, and he was so proud of me because he also was a dishwasher, and he saw me in suits working at the Chelsea. So they treated me like a hero, which I'll never forget. And those are the things that really motivated me to never give up.
Education is often described as the great equalizer. But Paul's story shows us that this isn't always the case. Educational inequities remain a barrier for many. And Paul challenges us to consider our civic responsibilities. How do we ensure that every child, regardless of their background, has equal access to opportunity?
So the next event that I faced, and it was unfortunately, but my first marriage ended. Thereafter, I've met my second wife, Emily, and Emily, I have 3 stepkids, together with my biological kids, Heston, Paula, and then my stepkids, Manuel, Princess, and PJ. Heston has 2 degrees and a diploma and a master's. Heston actually just recently won the gold medal for the GTA Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition in September the 7th. Paula wrote a book with poetry. Manuel and Princess studied culinary management at George Brown. Princess is a sous chef. Manuel was a chef de pâté, and Manuel actually had the opportunity to work with Chef Boulard, who had a Boulard restaurant in the Four Seasons Yorkville. And Manuel ended up having the opportunity to go to Manhattan to stay for a year. He just arrived a few days ago, where he worked at the upscale restaurant called La Pavilion. And PJ, Paul John, is a nurse at the Trillium Hospital in Mississauga.
Paul's story comes full circle through his children, whose success reflects the generational impact of breaking barriers. With his education and the cornerstone of his own journey out of poverty, Paul ensured his children had the opportunities he once fought for, proving how investing in equity and education can transform lives across generations.
Ever since I was 10 years old, I was a Cub Scout, and then I was promoted to a 6-star, which was a person in charge of the Cub Scouts. It was amazing. Some of my colleagues were older than I, and all of them came from advantaged communities where I was in a disadvantaged communities, and yet they respected me. And over the years, while I worked and do part-time jobs, I always had people coming to me, asking me for my recommendations, or if, I would help them even get part-time jobs. I had people asking for advice out of the blues. I was very close with my teachers where I can carry conversations and talk about the world politics. And then I realized, hey, there's something special about me because I'm being recognized. My principal will have me do public speaking when they have guest speakers for any events at school. And then last year, I was approached by a magazine, the Canadian Business Review magazine. They approached me to write an article, which I was amazed. They saw my profile on LinkedIn and just approached me, and which I did. And those are the things that really told me, hey, I was always thinking of writing a book. Why don't I start that book now? And I've recently published my first book, Resilience to Success. Resilience to Success became number 2 in the family and childhood memoirs on Amazon recently. So the way I wrote the book, because I've never been an author before, I've never wrote a book. And, I approached certain authors to see if they would help me put my book together. And unfortunately, the amount of money they wanted to charge me, that's what even gave me more motivation to do it on my own. And how I did my chapters were by sequence of events. And also, I dedicated a chapter for my mother because she was and is my guardian angel. So I wanted to make sure that she was mentioned. So how I did was I started writing journals. I started writing when I was in Trinidad, what I've been through. When I came to Canada, I wrote about my education. I wrote about my career and all the trials and tribulations. For some of the trials and tribulations I've been through is where I had people start jealousing me because of my progress in my career. I even had an email came to me speaking about me, which was not intended for me. So God does things in mysterious ways.
Paul's memoir is more than his personal journey. It's a call to action. By sharing his story, he highlights systemic barriers like inequitable education and housing, challenging readers to confront these issues. His book amplifies unheard voices, inspiring dialogue and action towards greater equity and understanding.
My legacy that I would like to leave is simply because of the way I was brought up, all the trials and tribulations, all the adversities. And my mother, who was so kind, although we lived in that cabin-style house, my mother still helped disadvantaged people who lived in our community as well and sheltered some of my sister's friends. And when I saw all that, and I'm thinking, my mother, she's gone now. She passed away. I'm going to want to take over that responsibility of being there for society. I know there was Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, and so forth. However, I wanted to show our own local people that there is a legacy. There's something that you should work while working towards. I am reaching out to my people. Do not give up. And my people is the citizens of the world. The disadvantaged, the single parent, the immigrants. Those are who I'm reaching out to.
Perhaps one of the most important takeaways from Paul's story is this: how can we build better support networks for those facing adversity? Paul's resilience is inspiring, but it also reminds us that no one should have to navigate these challenges alone. His story encourages dialogue on actionable solutions and the role we can all play in fostering stronger communities.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please follow our social media platforms. For more information, check out our website.